When adding or subtracting fractions, it's usually helpful to identify the fraction problem as being either a type 1, type 2, or type 3 problem. We're going to look at this first problem, which is 3/8 plus 1/8. If you look at the denominators, they're both 8. If that's true, you don't need to rename the fractions, you just need to add the numerators. So we're going to add 3 to 1 and get 4. The denominator stays the same, 8. Fractions with different denominators must be renamed with a common denominator. The larger denominator will be the common denominator if it's a multiple of the smaller. So I'm looking at this fraction problem. It's a type 2. I've circled the larger of the two denominators, the 4. I can multiply 2 by a factor and get 4. So I'm selecting 4 to be the common denominator. Now 1/4 does not need to be renamed. It can remain 1/4. The 1/2, however, needs to be renamed in terms of fourths. So I make a rule with multiplication. I'm going to multiply the denominator 2 by 2 to get 4, and I'm going to do the same thing to the numerator. What I'm doing here is I'm multiplying by a fraction that means 1. So I'll make the fraction look different, but it'll be worth the same. 1 times 2 is 2. So now I'm going to look at the fraction problem a little differently. I'm going to say 1/4 plus 2/4 to get 3/4. Moving on to the type 3 fraction problem, you notice that I've circled the larger of the two denominators, the 3. Can I multiply 2 by a factor and get 3? No. So what I'm going to have to do is to create a unique denominator to be the common denominator. The easy way to do that is to multiply the two denominators. 3 times 2 equals 6. 6 is going to be our new denominator for this problem. So I'm going to set this up. Then I'm going to rename both fractions in terms of sixths. So make a rule. Let's start with 1/3. As it says up in this big circle, 3 times 2 is equal to 6. So I'm going to write that in, and I'm going to multiply the numerator by 2 as well. Alright, the bottom fraction, 1/2, I'm going to multiply 2 by 3 to get 6. So I'll multiply the numerator by 3 as well, and I'll get 3/6. Now you just have to add the numerators. 2 plus 3 is 5/6.